Hey, what's up everyone? I am Piglet here once again, and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Moxie Toys videos. And ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Yoshi's Crafted World for the Nintendo Switch. So last time we have managed to able to go through the first half of the forms of finding the forms of every single sprouts during the forms of in a hide and seek Blocko fella. And we managed able to go started with, Sunshine Station all the way up to Cardstock Carnival. So today, for this particular video, is the fact that we're also able to wrap things up with the forms of the Hide and Seek Sprouts quest, and that what appears to be by the forms of levels or worlds between Chili Hot Dials all the way up to Hidden Hills. And by that time, then we can probably able to expect we can able to just finish up the entirety of the actual Sprout hide and seek kind of scenario. So either way though, again, not much else to really talk about this apart from the fact that I do apologize. I accidentally just almost belched at any moment's notice, just because of how the fact that I'm usually just, you know, drink a lot and stuff. And also, plus, because of I was, like, almost, like, extremely, tired of, not so much but tired of the actual main thing, but it's just that I was feeling a little bit yawny all of a sudden, just because I couldn't sleep well during that specific time, and even I couldn't wake up in time. So as a result of that kind of stuff, I do apologize if my post-commentary is actually going a little bit more drowsy at the moment, but either way though, hopefully by that time whenever we get on to you know, the later stages, or revisited the exact same stages as before, but this time around I'll just find, you know, every single sprouts in hide and seek kind of scenario, and hopefully we would be able to accomplish that until on Thursday the 1st of October, that we can able to actually focusing on the last main thing, and that is of course all boss challenges. So hopefully while that's been done, then we can probably able to finish off this let's play and during that some point in October. So yeah, because of that though, not much else has been going on to say, apart from the fact that today's day is, of course, I would say today it is the, I would say the 29th of September or something. Well, usually I say September the 29th of Tuesday, because this is still uploaded on, you know, every single Tuesdays and Thursdays every once in a while, just because of how the fact that I just feel like trying to able to go for that specific stuff like that. And also, if you couldn't tell already, this is actually the final Yoshi color we're going to be using for this point, eventually whenever we get on to the ending conclusion of this Let's Play, and because of that, we are now going to be selecting my colored Yoshi, which appears to be Pink Yoshi, to, well, just to say, just finish off with this Let's Play in general. So even then though, and because of that though, yeah, you guys have probably already know that you guys already saw 8 different replays in terms of, well, not so much 8, but in terms of like 4 repeated run-throughs in terms of all 8 different colored Yoshis in between. So because I just want to have them a little bit more of a different variety in terms of different color variations in general. So yeah, as a result of that kinds of stuff though, yeah, I was expecting to able to try to get some more coins during that specific area, but unfortunately, due to how the fact that I accidentally just tossed the egg twice in a row within a single throw, so as a result, it won't allow me to able to grab more coins than ever will be. Speaking of coins actually, it's the fact that if I somehow manage to get lost, to able to find those little Sprouts boxes, or Sprouts block fellas, hopefully by that time I could be able to actually just try to go ahead and just try to able to actually did this off screen by simply collecting more coins, so that we can able to actually get some more costumes down the road. Specifically, you know, as I said this before, I'm only going to spend the forms of the majority of the coins during the forms within the Cheery Valley, you know, Cheery Valley's costumes department. And as far as the forms of Hidden Hills is concerned, I think I should probably most likely gonna have to save that up until specifically towards the end. So even then though, because chances are, not much else I can usually decide to talk about apart from the fact that we're actually getting, you know, pretty close towards the end now, especially noticeable how the fact that we've only got a few things left until, you know, by that time this Let's Play will be finished. So even then though, that I know, aside from the forms of that massive delay in between a couple of parts worth noting for the sake of the forms of this game in general, which can be also same applies for Kingdom Hearts Final Mix and stuff like that. So, yeah, chances are, though, yeah, I must admit, though, it has been such a really long experience in general. In fact, at this point in time is the fact that I've managed able to play this for almost 20 hours now. Well, because of that, though, because of a lot of, like, collectibles that you can most likely try to get, even especially noticeable how the fact that some levels might able to take a while to finish, even especially noticeable in some stages like, you know, auto-scrolling stages and stuff like that, like this stage, for instance, that it might take a while to able to actually just just try to get your fast movement going, and as a result, yeah, it does attempt to take a while to able to make your way to, you know, different parts of throughout the whole level, so, and also just trying to find, you know, every single Sprout Blocko fellas, so, either way, though, that's all I can really say about this here, so, you know, for the most part, as you saw during the forms of the hot, you know, chili hot dials, that, we did manage to found, you know, a Blocko fella Sprout already by the forms of, you know, chili hot dials, but then, compared to Nijirama, well, we've only one exception, but the majority of those Sprout boxes that you can find is actually at the beginning portion of the level almost, luckily speaking, whereas compared to the second level as you saw, that it only just showed up during the forms of in the middle part of the level, so, yeah, as a result of that kind of stuff, though, this is what I mean in terms of the actual... Sometimes the video length might take a little bit longer until whenever we're able to find everything, but when you get that thing covered, it might not be so bad. Especially noticeable how the fact that unlike in certain souvenirs that it might be seems a little bit difficult to get, even especially trying to find them, because you have to be so specific with those, you know, environmental search and all that stuff between the background or foreground. So yeah, as a result of that kind of stuff, that's what I can say about this here. And by the way, there's the Sprout box right there, so as a result, we've so far got 28 of those Sprout Blocko fellas, so I think we actually got about, I would say 15 left, so yeah, we're actually getting really close for this point, so, but then again, as much as we could able to be fast as possible as we think, then hopefully I should able to speed things up a little bit if I was trying to go ahead and, you know, just speed things up a little bit. So even then, though, because I don't feel like trying to collect those exact same collectibles all over again, because you guys already saw from my run-throughs of some of the levels that I've shown you guys, you know, the health challenge completionist, and especially noticeable with the missing smiley flowers, and especially noticeable with those red coins. But thankfully, we don't have to worry about these kinds of stuff like this, well, apart from the fact that, well, as I said this before, since during the past video, is the fact that, well, there's gonna be still some more of those smiley flowers to get, but those are only specifically in terms of boss challenges. So as a result, since, speaking of smiley flowers actually, we still got ourselves about 299 of those smiley flowers to begin with. And as a result though, I think in terms of boss challenges for that regard, I believe there are about 6 bosses in total, which it might be seems possible. But chances are though, and as you can see right there, I'm almost gonna get myself munched by that cardboard crocodile right there. That's actually kind of lucky right there for able to just try to dodge that out. So yeah, that seems just pretty cool. So anyways, but anyway though, aside from all that stuff though, there's not much else I can talk about this, I'm afraid, apart from the fact that, as I said this before, this Let's Play will be concluded until October, so as a result, speaking of October, that's, we've only got about exactly 2 days left until October starts, so even then though, because chances are that I'm really looking forward to see how October's going to turn out, despite how annoying or bare bones this year can be, but I digress. We still gonna have to keep on complaining about this, to be honest here, just because, well, again, there's not much to tell. So there's the Sprout box just around here, so we've got about 29 of these so far, so now we've only got about, I would say 14 left, so hopefully it shouldn't take too long though, apart from some level exceptions, which we'll get to in just any moment's notice. But first of all, let's hop over to Hopping Higher. And then again, these are going to be for the final time we're going to be exploring those kinds of stages. So, because unlike any other bosses for that matter, specifically that we've already taken down Tin Can Condor. And by the way, for those of you probably wondering about what's going to happen in Journey Forms within the boss challenges, by the way, in terms of the finale portion of this Let's Play, seemingly to say this will be once again a post-commentary, just because, well, I can give you my thoughts about the actual boss challenges in general, and how do I think about them, and how much, attempts that I might able to complete those successfully. Because unlike most other parts, specifically that as you remember from the regular commentary in terms of the forms of this Let's Play so far, the last time I did actually done a proper commentary was actually on you know, in Hidden Hills. But as far as you know, Journey Forms the previous video of this, especially noticeable for today, and probably during at some point on Thursday essentially, that those 3 videos are going to be most likely focusing on post-commentary rather than just regular commentary, because there's not much else I can talk about in terms of news, discussions, or anything like that to be resides. So even then, I just want to point that out right away. So either way, though, you get the idea for that little specific topic worth noting for. So, and this is going to be another one of those levels to feature, you know, take a while to able to find the actual Sprout box, and if I recall correctly, that particular Sprout box fellow was actually going to be on, well, specifically the middle portion of the level, so even then though, but while we're at it, I've recently managed to able to actually just go ahead and just get myself tons of coins here and there, so that way we can able to actually just to farm some more of those coins. Especially noticeable that again, if I was going to able to 100% everything in this whole entire game, well, I can just simply just try to find more coins, and especially noticeable just trying to grab them essentially as well. So, but either way though, and if I was still missing some of those coins, as I said before, I would at least manage to able to play just one repeated level over and over again, and then hopefully I can able to actually get enough coins as much as possible. Or it could be a possibility if we're able to actually do with the boss challenges along with it too. Well, it might be a possibility though, but we'll see what happens and during at some point on, you know, the beginning portion of October, so we can at least make it happen. So yeah, you probably get the idea of what that's going to come out to be. So either way though, I was going to normally try to go after that Smiley Flower, but either way, just for the sake of coins collectathon, but as soon as you're able to actually notice something like this, there's the Sprout block filler, so yeah, that's pretty much it for that. And conveniently enough, it's the fact that I think we've only got about 4 more worlds left in terms of the forms of the Sprout block filler hide and seek spots. Now once we're done with those, as I said before, then we are basically going to be moving on to the final thing. Well, aside from those extra things I'd like to show off, which there are, well, obviously the amiibo functionalities, and especially noticeable with some of those extra things I possibly might show off, but there's not much else I can show off aside from amiibo, how the amiibo functionality works in this game. Even though it's nothing remarkably special, sadly, apart from the fact that we could able to discuss on that once we're able to done with the boss challenges throughout. So even then, once that's been done, then, you know, we can able to just go on to that stuff. Now, as you can see on the countdown begins, it's actually not that far in terms of the forms that have specific blocker fellow sprouts, or even then, sometimes I have to admit those that my lock-on cursor doesn't seem to work with me half the time, just because I have to be exactly dead on with the actual timing or what have you, or not only timing, but I have to keep on moving around the cursor for a little bit, so that way I could able to actually get the lock-on egg tossing recognized in Journey Forms of that specific object I was going to be on about. So yeah, as a result, that's all I can really think about it. And the next level is going to be Ride the Stars. In fact, speaking of the forms of Outer Orbit world, you know, in the first level in this world, that thankfully is overall really easy to find, because especially noticeable it was actually at the beginning. But as far as the second level is concerned, Ride the Stars, I think if I recall correctly, it's going to be on the very end of the level, so it might take a while though, especially noticeable that thankfully you can able to speed things up a little bit. But however though, I have to admit the right way is the fact that this level might take a while to able to speed things up, because again, as far as this level suggests, that you have to keep on riding those little shooting stars, which as a result, it does able to actually just slow the actual pacing down for a little bit, I have to admit though, but either way though, it might not be so bad as long as you would be able to just able to get used to it a bit. So yeah, you probably get the idea for that little topic right here, so, but I digress. So but then again though, well recently I've managed to able to go back into Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition recently, while I managed to able to actually have no much to discuss at this point. Well, apart from the fact that I've actually got some progressioning, or still some more progressioning, unlike, you know, the 3DS version what I used to have, but unfortunately though, due to the C-stick knob, doesn't seem to able to work with me half the time on the new 3DS, which, ironically I know, is the fact that we haven't got a single new 3DS game exclusive game during new forms within the 3DS's games lineup, which kind of bizarre I know, especially noticeable how the fact that I was expecting to get Super Nintendo stuff as well, but the thing is, I've already got myself all of the, well, pretty much every single Super Nintendo games, well, some exceptions mind you, that, especially noticeable with certain compilations here now too, like, I still managed to get myself all 3 of the Mega Man X games on the Super Nintendo, as well as Mega Man 7, and especially noticeable with, you know, the Kirby games on the Super Nintendo, and all the other jazz, so it might be seems a little bit redundant if I managed to able to purchase, you know, the Super Nintendo games again, but on the go for the new Nintendo 3DS, but then again, it might be seems redundant, and plus, about the fact that the Super Nintendo games already existence during new forms within Nintendo Switch Online membership services already, so yeah, I'm probably not gonna get the 3DS's Super Nintendo library of games, because I already got them, especially noticeable that we've still managed to get ourselves, you know, the Super Nintendo Classic Mini and all that stuff, in addition with the newly released Star Fox 2, which originally was not being released on the original Super Nintendo game cartridge, but during new forms of, you know, in 2017, they did manage to finally bring Star Fox 2 during new forms of that specifically and everywhere else. So, pretty cool though, especially noticeable how the fact that most people can now finally experience the never-before-seen release of, well, Star Fox 2. So, yeah, that's as far as I can usually decide to talk about. So, for the most part though, yeah, as you saw on the right, the stars level is the fact that it does take a lot longer to able to actually just to find, you know, the flower sprouts, or in this case, the actual Blockofeller sprouts, as you'll know, just like in the ones and how it does in Sunshine Station, in this case in Rail Yard Run, that it also immediately takes place almost towards the end. But then again though, we'll try to speed things up a little bit. Thankfully, this video wasn't nearly as long as the forms of the first part of the Finding Sprouts Blockofeller, but still a little bit longer as it goes by, just because there are some scenarios like, for instance in this stage right there, that we once again got out to deal with the forms of that meteor rock that is about to be coming over, and as a result, when it crashes to the forms of the space station, it'll cause a lot of robots to go a little bit more insanely crazy. But thankfully though, it's actually not that far for in terms of that Blockofeller sprouts right here, so that way we would be able to just find that, and that pretty much takes care of the forms of space, well, usually outer orbit, that's what the name of this world suggests. So now let's go ahead and move on to the obvious next world, is Cherry Valley, and then again, we'll come back for the actual capsule machine until whenever we're done with every single sprouts that we've able to find. So the next level we have is of course Right the River. So as far as Cherry Valley is concerned, well, there might be, it might take a while to able to actually just to find every single, well, sprouts locations. Well, apart from one exception, mind you, which, well, few worlds exceptions, mind you, which we'll get to those and doing at some form or another once we get into those. But once again, I'm feeling slightly bit hasty at this point, just because, again, I want to stress this enough, is the fact that in addition to trying to grab, you know, some more coins in general, as well as, you know, just trying to speed things up a little bit, just to make the video itself a little bit more faster, as far as I was gonna able to show you guys for this part. But either way though, that's all I can really say about this here. So, and yeah, something's worth mentioning also is the fact that, well, I don't know about you, but either way though, I just have a little bit run out of news to talk about, because again, this is all due to the fact that, well, for between, you know, the last two videos I'm going to be doing for the sake of this week, and that was the fact that, oh, that's what I get for able to speed things up a little bit, so thanks a lot, Lilypad. Even then though, that the only time I've actually got myself my only game over during the forms event, finding a Sprouts thing, it was actually at the very start, which is very unbelievable beyond belief. But then again though, I was a little bit too hasty, because I was gonna able to, you know, trying to speed things up, because, you know, I just really can't afford able to go through this entire process of jump cuts or anything like that. Although the only time I will do jump cuts though, and that was the fact that if I somehow manage to do the boss challenges until at some point until on this Thursday in general, then I should be able to actually cut out the failed attempts and just go for successful attempts that way. I mean, sure, it won't be that noticeable, or in this case, it will be very noticeable during the forms of a tougher bosses or something, but then again, we'll point those out whenever we get onto that specific stuff, especially whenever we go back onto the forms of that chemic boss fight again. So, oh boy, I'm not looking forward to able to replaying that boss fight again, because let me tell you right off the bat though, I'm not exactly a bigger fan in terms of the forms of the actual chemic boss fight to begin with, because, well, again, it's just a lot of multitasking, and especially noticeable that, you know, unlike in any other boss fights in general, that you don't able to have yourselves your regenerated hearts. So yeah, that's the only thing that's kind of noticeable. Especially I always have a hard time during the final section of that particular boss fight, because again, if you screw up at least once, you have to restart that particular phase again, which as a result, I'm okay with it in terms of challenge or anything like that. It's just that it just kind of feels a bit too much for my liking. So again, it's probably just me. So yeah, as you saw in the forms of that Right to the River level, is the fact that the actual Sprouts box was actually, I would say, in the middle portion of the level or something like that, after going through a lot of, like, series of those, you know, lily pads in general, which, it might be, seems not that hard to find, but, yeah, it's just the fact that you have to go to the left, like, where the actual, the camping tent went. So, as far as open-shut level, I think it was actually going to be on, well, let's just say on that next specific spot. And as far as the final special level, specifically in terms of the forms of, you know, with the mechanical, or in this case, the gimmick stages or something like that, that it won't be that hard. Well, I might as well show it to you until, again, whenever we get onto that stuff, though. Yeah, so I think the actual Cherry Valley level, in terms of, like, trying to find, you know, the sprout boxes, might take a bit of a while to able to actually just to find them. But, especially noticeable if you're trying to be more, you know, speedy or what have you, such as I was going to be doing here. So, yeah, there's the Sprouts box just over there. So, yeah, now we've only got about 7 more left in terms of, you know, block our fellow Sprouts. So, those are going to be for the Xyla Zoom, and especially noticeable for the majority of Shadowville, and of course, Hidden Hills. So, speaking of Silent Zoom, it's kind of funny actually, because even then, I was expecting if I somehow, you know, accidentally missed this and during the first attempt, but luckily for me, especially noticeable that you don't see that particular frame off during the forms of that specific capture footage, that this is actually my first attempt doing this, because as a result, I actually got that very lucky right there, especially noticeable how the fact that, well, the biggest strategy for this is, if you really want to find, you know, the Sprouts box, if you want to do that, chances are you might as well able to actually just to slow down a little bit, so that way you would be able to actually get covered by the shade, because again, if you get into the shade, then obviously you would slow down, such as like, well, for instance, right here. So, thankfully you don't have to win the race though, because obviously we've already done the level itself, even though it only took me about, I would say 3 attempts or something like that, or maybe it's probably just 3, so even then though, well, for I've noticed something back in during the forms of, let's just say it's during the forms of September or something, so, well, in this case, in somewhat the middle of September, but then again, it has been quite a few days since I actually managed to come back to this since last Thursday in general, so, and unfortunately I've accidentally missed that gift box right there, but who needs about that, because we need to obviously aim for, you know, the Sprouts box as you think, so even then though, hopefully, you know, we should be able to go for that stuff though, and in fact, this is still the best level to, or actually go to think about it, once we didn't have enough coins to able to purchase the final 10 main costumes during the forms of in the Hidden Hills world, I should probably able to replay this level right here, because that way it'll give me a lot of opportunities to able to grab, you know, tons of coins in general, so I'm also able to do that off screen whenever we're done with this entire ordeal, or maybe something else, but then again, we'll point it out whenever we get onto that specific stuff in mind. So, and now let's move on to Shadowville World, and the first level to revisiting on, and that is of course Be Afraid of the Dark, which I've already replayed this level quite a number of times actually during the forms in the past. Like, for instance, trying to grab some more coins off screen to get some more costumes, as you remember. And second, is the fact that, you know, just trying to go for no damage run can't be multitasking at the same time. Thankfully, the Sprouts box is actually at the beginning of the level, it's just that you need to get this ugly dolly thing out of the way. And then when you've done so already, thankfully that was actually ultimately very close, for able to not get hit or something, but hey, who knows about that. Even then, I almost got myself my another game over during that run. But anyway, enough about that. Thankfully, Skulking Around is also another one of those levels is actually pretty short in terms of trying to find the actual Sprout, you know, block of fellow boxes kind of thing about it. Well, only one exception, but then again, we'll point that out whenever we get onto that particular level. But for now, for Skulking Around, basically I think it was actually at the beginning of the level. It's just a matter of the fact that you need to grab at least one Yoshi egg in general, but seemingly to say, I have no idea why I just managed to double check in here, but regardless of such though, I'm obviously trying to go from there just for the sake of grabbing more coins. So yeah, the Sprouts box is actually in the rocket itself, which thankfully is actually pretty easy to find. So either way though, that's 2 easy ones out of the way in terms of the forms of, you know, the Shadowville's kind of, you know, Sprout boxes to find. So either way though, now let's move on to the last level in Shadowville, and that is of course, you know, Mr. Geary's factory, which, if I recall correctly, it might actually be appearing during the forms of in, I don't know if in the beginning or the middle portion of the level. I don't know, it's my first time experiencing that specific stuff, as you guys already know. But thankfully for me, this is actually also the first attempt as well. But as far as the Hidden Hills, as far as they're concerned, well, it might take me a while just because of knowing exactly what the locations are. But at least I'm hoping I could be able to actually just, well, find those during the first attempt or two. But either way though, we'll just have to wait until whenever we get on to, you know, Hidden Hills in general, well, aside from able to grab, you know, more coins later down the road, especially noticeable just trying to get some more costumes during an exact run, so. But you know, you get the drill for this point, so. But I digress. Also, is the fact that, usually relatively speaking, that's all I can really discuss upon at this point in time, because even then though, again, that we're almost done with the Sprouts hide and seek kind of scenario. I think we've already got about 4 more levels now, enjoying new forms of doing this entire process. Even then though, still, that as long as you're able to actually just try to speed things up a little bit, well, despite if you're able to almost become so recklessness, or in this case for the sake of time, that you almost feel like you're being too hasty or something like that, which always attempts to happen every single moment's notice. But either way though, that's all I can really delve it for anyway, so. But I digress. So, yeah, I just don't know why I'm just truly trying to say the exact same word every time whenever we finish that specific discussion. Although then again, there's not much else I can say apart from, you know, we're almost there towards the end of this, basically. So either way though, yeah, if I recall correctly, that the next little sprouts box is actually going to be on, well, I would say after we just bypass those tons of gears, and especially noticeable just trying to grab some more coins during the forms of that specific familiar gift box and stuff like that. But then again though, this is actually the final time we're going to be seeing that, you know, that particular gift box, because as soon as we get on to, you know, the final 3 levels in Journey Forms of Hidden Hills, after we've gone through all that stuff though, and, yeah, I always have to do that just for the sake of grabbing some more coins in general. And yeah, the actual Sprouts box is just right behind the actual gear itself. And that pretty much takes care of the forms of Shadowville. So, yeah, all I can really say about this here. And hopefully, you know, we'll get the last 3 Sprouts boxes during time, so either way though, we can expect this much. So, rolling rough though won't be so bad, as long as how the fact that, well, if I recall correctly, is the fact that whenever I first time experiencing this level, I'm pretty sure it's going to be on the very end of a level, if I recall correctly, so it won't be that hard though. Well, the only time it makes things a little bit difficult for you is, of course, if you really want to go after every single collectibles like, you know, smiley flowers, hearts, or red coins in general, and even don't get me started on the forms of that, you know, that stingy gift box, as I point things out since I've first time experiencing this stage. So, yeah, you get the idea for that little solution here. But, you know, you get the idea for that. So, anyway, enough about that, and, yeah. So, I guess I probably should start talking about the forms of the final 2 levels before we, after we're done with this level. The next stage after this, as you guys should already know, is, of course, Under Stage. And, also after that, it was, flipping and, well, flopping and flipping, I think that's what the level's called. Again, it has been quite a few days since actually coming back onto Hidden Hills World. So, as far as for those 2 levels are concerned, well, to be more specifically, on this stage, it might able to take me a lot of tries just because of how tricky, and also that if I was going to be trying to go ahead and grab, you know, more coins in general, that sometimes it gives me a lot of, you know, trial and error and what have you, especially noticeable on that level's case. But again, as I said before, in a rough rolling level, as you saw, that it won't be so hard because of how the fact that thankfully the actual Sprouts box is just clearly showed up just around here. So even that you don't have to worry about this too much. But as far as the second level, as I said before, that you can definitely see why that I've wanted able to jump cut for the sake of that specific segment worth noting for. Just because of how the fact that it actually took me quite a few tries just so that I can able to actually just define that specific, you know, Sprouts box in general. So yeah, as a result, after when this loading screen is about to be loading and stuff like that, then chances are, yeah, you might as well see that familiar first jump cut in this particular part. Because the only trickiest thing about this level is the fact that in addition to getting hit multiple times, it's especially noticeable if you really want to grab some more coins on that run too. And then because of that though, you might end up in a lot of like alerts everywhere, specifically if you want to keep an eyes open during the forms of some specific, well, items to be located. Now, originally, I was keep on thinking about the forms to the right side of the window, that I was thinking about what the sprout is located, but it turns out it was actually on the left side as opposed to the right side. So as a result of that kind of stuff, it actually took me a lot of tries for the sake of this stage. Yeah, because of how the fact that I keep on getting used to with, coins fun collecting, but turns out I'm actually going to be finding the forms of those sprouts. And also, as you can see, I've also attempted to miss that specific shot right there. So yeah, as a result, that can definitely be a little bit trickier. But, however though, the final stage in general, in terms of the forms of the sprouts hide and seek kind of scenario, that's, conveniently enough, unlike in any other levels of the game, that it always attempts to locate at the beginning portion, and then some levels usually takes about usually just goes in the middle portion of the level to find them, and some of them are at the very end. this is the level right there that it just makes things the easiest sprouts to find. As soon as we get that shy guy and grab the Yoshi's egg, and then if we go all the way to the left, there it is right there. Some people might find it a little bit confusing to able to find the final sprout, but as you saw during the forms of that coins counter, as you can see, that I've managed to accidentally got myself, 50, 120 coins. That's only because I had to replay that level and just trying to grab some more coins. But as soon as you're able to find every single of those Sprouts Blocker fellas, you would able to get yourselves the next costume, which appears to be the forms of Blocker fella. So as a result, it might actually seem still worth it for the 100% completionist or something. But either way though, enough about that, and let's go ahead and spend most of the coins in journey forms of Geary Valley's costume. So hopefully we should be able to, well, deal with all that, and let's see what costumes that we can consider to be getting during forms of that specific world. So let's see what we got. And conveniently enough, the super rare one is actually at the end. So Lunchfish is one of the rare ones, and Mountain Clouds, and also we've got the yellow silo car, and also we've got the blue floppy block, and also Lily Pad, which appears to be a normal one, and red silo car, and also we've got the red car is a normal one, and also green floppy block, and also we've got the yellow bucket, and finally the sky blue silo car, which is the only card that we used during the forms of Xylo Zoom. So, yeah, it seems pretty cool though. Unfortunately, for the sake of time, as I said this before, that I don't think we've actually got enough coins to able to spend on, the final 10 costumes during on that specific capsule machine during on in Hidden Hills, because as you guys can clearly tell, I don't have enough coins. So as a result, I must able to get myself about, let's say 480 coins left, so I would be able to expect to grab those, but then again though, we'll have to wait until by the end of the forms in the entire Let's Play of Yoshi's Crafted World. So even then though, because chances are, we are done with the actual Sprout hide and seek. So with that being said, we've only got one thing left for the sake of the forms of this Let's Play, and we should probably end things off at this point here. So join me next time on Let's Play Yoshi's Crafted World. Is the fact that we are going all the way back over there, and because of that, we are now doing with the forms of the boss challenges, and hopefully this Let's Play will be finished by then. So yeah, see you guys until on Thursday. Later, fellas.